In this video, I learned two very important lessons, and one of them came with a bit of pain. First, I found out exactly how not to build a mold for an epoxy table. You'll see the results of that soon enough. Second, I learned that rushing anything in woodworking usually comes back to bite you. If you've been following the channel, you might remember the walnut dining table that I made for my wife. If not, I'll drop a link in the description, maybe give it a watch after this one. That build left me with two beautiful walnut offcuts, and while I do have a fireplace that would gladly turn them into ash, I wasn't really ready to let them go. So instead of firewood, I decided to turn those leftovers into a small coffee table. Honestly, I almost tossed the pieces. They looked rough and nothing special at first glance. But after a second look, I realized there was still a lot of life in that wood. So I cleaned them up, and that's where the project began. These offcuts were from the same walnut slab as the dining table, so it felt like I was continuing the story of that piece. Since I didn't have a ton of material, I kept the idea simple. A small, minimal coffee table. Something practical, beautiful, and compact. I already have one at home, so I thought this one would make a perfect gift for my wife's parents. I went with a classic rectangular shape. Not too chunky, not too thin. I wanted to feel balanced, but still show off that amazing walnut grain. And since it's going to a different home, I kept the design neutral so it fits almost any space. At this stage, there was sawdust, just chaos everywhere. And yeah, I wasn't even wearing a mask at this point, which definitely wasn't smart. Breathing all that fine dust, especially when planing or sanding, really isn't something you want to ignore. Since building this table, I made a few changes, like adding a dust shoe for my planing jig and hooking up proper extraction. It's made a huge difference, not just for the cleanup, but for my lungs too. It's way healthier right now. After I set up the mold, I realized the wood didn't quite sit right. I had to go back, trim things down, and rework the fit. It's one of those things you think you've planned for, but you still end up adjusting on the fly. I went with black resin for this project. It's simple, it's bold, and it just works. I've tried blues, clears, even metallics before, but black always looks modern and clean. And with walnut, the contrast is perfect. It really makes the grain pop. Now, resin cure time. Normally, you could demold after a few days, but I left this one for 3 whole weeks. And yeah, it was a nightmare to remove. The mold basically fused itself to the epoxy. So if you're wondering why I'm struggling here, that's why. The slab had practically fused to the mold. I tried prying it out with every tool I had, and the more I fought it, the worse it got. That's when things went really sideways. Now that was a chore. I'm not even mad about the fact that it took so long and it was so hard to do. Well, I am mad about the fact that I have some places where I chipped the wood pretty badly, and hopefully I'll find a way with epoxy to fix this. Luckily it's on the back side, but I won't let it this way. I'll do as much as possible to fix this because I don't like these splinters being like this. This happened because I tried sealing the surface so I don't have epoxy go underneath, and to be honest, I didn't save as much as I thought, so I'll never do this again. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. We'll plane this and we'll see how big of a hole we have everywhere we have holes, and maybe I'll make the table a little bit thinner. It is at 2 inches right now, and for a coffee table it's a little bit too thick, so I think I can lose these just by planing this side a little bit further, and I think we'll fix it. Quick safety tip: when sanding epoxy, always wear a respirator or a proper dust mask. That fine dust can really mess with your lungs, especially in enclosed spaces. Don't risk it. For this project, I was still using my old Bosch sander. It definitely gets the job done, but honestly, it's not the easiest to control, especially on large flat surfaces like this. I really struggled with even pressure, and the dust was just building up everywhere. That's actually what pushed me to finally upgrade to the fast tool, along with a proper shop vac setup. It's not just faster, it's also way cleaner and healthier to work with. A total game changer for sanding. When it came to the edge, I usually go for a gentle curve, but this time I wanted a cleaner, more modern look, so I beveled the edges instead. It added a nice crispness to the whole piece. You'll notice I cut this edge 3 different times. The bevel wasn't lining up cleanly in the corners. It looked off and unbalanced. And to make things even worse, I chipped one off the corners while rounding over the top edge with the router. So I had to trim it back a few times to get it looking clean. After running the slab through the CNC, I had a super flat but kind of a rough surface. To get that smooth, touchable finish, I had to go through 10 to 12 sanding paces. There's no shortcut. If you want glassy smooth, you've got to earn it. For the finish, I used Rubio Monocoat. Technically a hardwood floor finish, but it works beautifully on furniture. Fuck. It's not cheap, and yeah, it's kind of a controversial product in the woodworking world. But personally, I love the depth it gives to the walnut. You get color, protection, and feel, all in one coat. Even though the slab is done, the build isn't. I still need to mount the legs and make sure everything lines up just right. Let's finish this properly. Before installing the legs, I had to enlarge the screw holes. The inserts we get here tend to go in crooked, and that completely messes up the alignment. So I thought I'll just do it on the floor without clamping it. As I was drilling, the bit caught on the metal and the whole leg spun right into my shin. It wasn't serious, but yeah, that was the painful lesson I mentioned at the start. Always secure your work. No matter how quick the job seems, freehand drilling can go bad really fast. I think this is what makes woodworking so addictive. You start with offcuts, leftovers, stuff that should have gone to the fire. But if you take your time, work through the mistakes, and don't quit halfway, you can end up with something beautiful. This table isn't perfect, but it's honest. It tells a story, and hopefully it will live a second life in someone else's home. Thanks for sticking around. If you've ever made something from scraps or rescued a project that nearly went sideways, drop a comment. I'd love to hear your story. And if this video gave you an idea or just entertained you, consider subscribing. More builds and more chaos coming soon.